Subscribe to The Honest Critique for current affairs, movie, book, and product reviews. Also, make sure you press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video. The views, information, or opinions expressed during the video series are solely those of the individuals and do not necessarily represent those of The Honest Critique and its employees. The following video contains strong language which may be offensive to some viewers. Viewer discretion advised.
Hello and welcome to a very special episode we are recording today. I'm delighted to be joined by Major General Yakoov Amidror, former National Security Advisor and a distinguished fellow at the Jewish Institute for National Security of America, and a senior fellow at the Jerusalem Institute for Strategy and Security. So thank you so much, sir, for taking your time and speaking to us.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
So let's start a little bit with a background of what exactly happened in the rocket attack that killed 11 or 12 children at Majdal Shams, and what is the current situation in the village and surrounding areas, if you could tell us a little bit about that.
The Hezbollah decided to join the war against Israel in the 7th of October. They immediately after the beginning of the war in Gaza, which was launched by Hamas, Hezbollah began to launch rockets and missiles into Israel. Since then, they killed 30 Israelis, a lot of damage to the villages near the border. In the exchange of fire, we succeeded to kill many of Hezbollah terrorists and all those who try to infiltrate into Israel. And both sides try to keep some rules, for example, to minimize the number of civilians which had been killed. In this case, Hezbollah violated all the rules of the game. Launch big rockets with more than 50 kilogram of TNT into a football gameplay in a Druze settlement. It is in the Druze village. Sorry, it is the Druze are a minority which is living in 3 countries: in Syria, in Lebanon, and in Israel. And we have good relations with the Druze, and the Druze have good relations with the countries around us. In Lebanon, they have a position in the system. In Syria, they are mainly in the south, and they have some friction with the Assad regime. But basically, the Druze people are spread within these 2 countries, and everyone understands that they are in a very sensitive situation because they are a minority everywhere. And some of the Druze in the Golan Heights are Israeli citizens. Some of them are not, are still Syrian citizens. But the relations are very good with the municipality there and the people. They work in Israel. They travel through Israel. Everyone who wants can get an Israeli passport, but it is their decision. It is not a compulsory. And it was a huge surprise for us that Hezbollah chose to launch such a big rocket into a civilian village. It happened to be that it was landed in a place in which the children of the village in Saturday noon played football or soccer, depends how you call it in India, I don't know. It's not American football, it's the British football. And as I said, 12 had been killed and more than 20 had been injured. And now the government of Israel decided that we will have to make a strong retaliation that cannot stay as it is. Think about it. A very, very calm place, pure civilian, some of them not even Israeli citizens. It is sect which have very good which has good relations with the with all the Lebanese in Lebanon. It's not a big one. It's little in Lebanon as well. And now everyone is waiting to the decision that will be taken. The cabinet finished and gave the framework of the retaliation to the Prime Minister, Minister of Defense, and they have to with the guys in the army to decide when and where and what to do.
And right after the incident took place, there are a lot of this fake news propaganda started piling up on all over the internet, which mentions that Hezbollah was not involved in this, and it was rather an Iron Dome rocket which fell into the
No, it's Venezuela. It's Venezuela. It's not Hezbollah. Who can do it other than Hezbollah?
Yeah.
It's Hezbollah, 100%. We have in our radar. We know exactly where it was launched from. We know the exact place. We gave an alarm in time, but it was not enough to all the children to run away. So we know exactly, and it's not even intelligence. You can see it in the radar screen. You cannot tell stories here.
And given your working with the current Prime Minister in the past cabinet that you have worked with him closely, what happened, the tragic incident in Majdal Shams? Do you see how does the Israeli government addressing the concern, especially now we see the Druze community looking for a stronger military response against Hezbollah?
We should have a strong military response to Hezbollah. This is no one in Israel is arguing about it. If there is any argument, is what aim to take, what to target. But about the need to make strong retaliation, there is you will not hear even one Israeli who don't say the same. Israel should retaliate in a very strong way. What exactly is a strong, what way can it lead to a war? These are the questions that we have to ask ourselves. But it is clear that the retaliation should be very strong, not because of the Druze, because of of Hezbollah. Hezbollah did something that he should be punished for such an action. Think about the situation that in a cricket play in somewhere in India, a terrorist launch rockets or put TNT, and I don't know, 200 children will be killed. This is the numbers that we are speaking about. Within the Druze, it's huge number. It's very little set. For them, every family in the village, every family in the village has some relatives in this which had been killed. It's a very little village. It's not something big, it's not Mumbai.
And to talk about the overall current assessment, according to you, about Hezbollah's intention, what is Hezbollah's intention right now? Because clearly the attack a couple of days back is crossing a red line and drawing closer to the war.
I don't know what Hezbollah wants, and it doesn't matter for us. In this case, Israel should retaliate, and it doesn't matter what Hezbollah wants. What important is what Hezbollah did, and Hezbollah murdered 12 children in the middle of a game in an innocent village in the Golan Heights. This is what's important, not what Hezbollah wants. What Hezbollah wants is good for, argument in the university. Here it doesn't matter. What important is what Hezbollah did. And Hezbollah murdered 12 children, innocent children, in a game. Not near the border, they didn't fight. An innocent children away from the border.
And if we take it one step more and ask you, is Israel prepared to deal with a two-front war at this time?
This is the decision of the cabinet. This is why we don't know what will be the retaliation. It might lead to a war, and the IDF should be well prepared for that. Only when we see the retaliation, we understand what they had in mind. Did they had in mind a big war, or what they had in mind is a very narrow retaliation that put the two sides unsatisfied but is not leading to a war. Let's see what will be the retaliation.
But if I mean, it's kind of very speculative to ask you this right now, but what kind of a retaliation do you see? Whether do you see it like a preemptive strikes being carried out?
I don't know. I really don't know. But it should be very strong.
So the last
Something which will hurt Hezbollah. We are not looking for revenge to kill another, that we will, if they kill 12 children here, we will kill 20 children there. No, we don't want a revenge. Blood for blood. No, what we want is to an operation or a strike which will harm the capabilities of Hezbollah. We are fighting with Hezbollah. We are not fighting with all the citizens of Lebanon.
just to take it a little more and ask you about this, if you could expand it for our audience, because Hezbollah's military capabilities are far more greater than Hamas's, right? So when we talk about this, any kind of strike or attack on Hezbollah, do you feel it should be more towards making sure the offensive capabilities are hindered to a certain limit, that they don't strike back?
No, what we should be ready for is for a long war, because we don't know what will be Hezbollah reaction. So we have to take into account that might lead to a big war. And war in Lebanon means devastating war for us and for them. Lebanon will be destroyed, not because we want, but because they have more than 100,000 rockets and missiles, many of them stored by Hezbollah in urban areas within innocent civilians. So Lebanon will be destroyed. Israel will suffer, of course, but that might lead to a big war in the Middle East.
We saw Prime Minister Netanyahu recently visited America, and we have seen the alliance between Israel and America, how useful it was during the war with Hamas. Do you feel the Democrats would allow to open another front at this point of time and help Israel if Israel chooses to retaliate stronger?
I don't see Americans that can say no to Israel when it is coming to retaliation for such a big murder of children. This is something that, according to the American values, they cannot say no. What limitations they want that Israel will take and so on and so forth is part of the dialogue with the Americans. But I don't see any American leadership which can and might say to Israel, don't, when it is coming to a strike which is only a retaliation to a murder of 12 children, innocent children, in an innocent village in the Golan Heights.
So the last thing that I want to ask you is, given the number of ongoing shelling and the large number of displaced Israelis, especially in the northern region that we have seen, what do you think would be the immediate or the long-term plans to provide either security or support to these people?
At the end, Israel will have to go to war against Hezbollah. Will it be now as part of the retaliation, or it will be later when Israel will initiate a war, when it will be more convenient for Israel, or it will come because of the deterioration in the war? I don't know. But at the end, we cannot allow Hezbollah to do what Hamas did in 7th of October. The atrocities, the barbarian attack of Hamas taught us that Israel should not allow terror organization to grow near its border. When and how to act, it's a question that every Israeli will have to ask himself. It's democracy and we want to influence the government. But it is a governmental decision based on the capabilities and the readiness of the IDF.
Well, that's all the question that I had. So thank you so much for taking your time and speaking with us.
Thank you very much.